Okay, new pasuk, difficult pasuk, new parak. Difficult, I don't know if it's difficult parak. All right, you want to translate this flawlessly? Leitz hayayin home shechar v'chol shoge bo lo yechkam.
Scoffer the wine.
Good. Scoffer the wine.
Cries out for drink.
Cries out for drink.
And anyone who errs with it will not become wise.
Yeah, anyone who errs with it will not become wise. Yeah, okay. So the first half, there are several ways to read it. So I think maybe it'd be in our best interest to just like list the different ways as different options. Okay, so Isaac did what you're supposed to do, translating it literally. Scoffer the wine, that's literally, Leitz is a scoffer, hayayin is the wine. Homer, look at Mitzudas ציון, says inyan tsa'aka, means to cry out. Okay, and then shoge is milashon shgaga, is to err, like to make a mistake, to unintentionally, whatever. Okay, yeah. So scoffer the wine cries out for drink. Okay. Any other candidates for how to translate it?
Like the scoffer of wine.
Okay, good. Yeah. So the let's say the wine scoffer.
Yeah.
Okay, the wine scoffer cries out for drink. Okay, that's the second way to translate it. And you know what? Can we, at this point, are we comfortable just using the word Leitz? That's scoffer. Scoffer is just a weird word. Okay, Leitz. Leitz the wine, and then the wine Leitz is what we're saying now. The wine Leitz. Yeah, okay, cries out for drink. And by the way, shechar, it's unclear what shechar is. Shechar, I think in our world, shechar is like hard alcohol. Okay.
Beer?
No, hard alcohol.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the conventional understanding here. Yeah. So anyway, apparently it's something called grappa, which I didn't look up. Let me look up what grappa is. That's what Alter says, at least.
Wait, that's what it means in modern Hebrew, or
in Mishlei.
Grappa?
Grappa is an alcoholic beverage, a fragrant grape-based Pomance brandy of Italian origin that contains 35 to 60% alcohol.
Okay, so that's more than wine.
That's more than wine, and it's way more than beer. What?
That's hard alcohol.
Hard alcohol, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. Because I think they get this from the fact that the nut doesn't it mention shechar by Nazir? I thought so, and maybe that's right. So that's not beer.
Right. So it's like
It's a grape derived thing. So I guess the more accurate thing is it's like cognac, because cognac is distilled from grapes, but it's like the same percentage as hard alcohol. Yeah. And this is important. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, the other way to translate it is the way that the English translations do it. Okay, so let's see. Anything? We did Mitzudas ציון. Okay, Sadigon. Where's your Sadigon say? I have it here. It's behind. Yeah. So he says anyone who errs after them. Yain and shechar. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's the minor. So he just says it equals them.
As the wine scoffer.
He may or may not be. It's hard to tell. But he is saying that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Leitz runs out.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, good. So we actually do need to do this other translation first. Yeah.
I was just say you can just say Leitz, comma, and then everything else after.
Yeah. So I don't think we do the Targum Ksuvim. So let me just do Art Scroll. Okay, Art Scroll says wine makes a scoffer. Okay, you got that?
Wine makes
a scoffer. Wine makes a Leitz.
Wait, who is it?
That's Art Scroll. Okay.
How to read that?
So that's a good valid question. Okay, well, because it seems like there's a word missing. Okay. Yeah. All right. So wine makes a Leitz. I'm still doing Art Scroll. Strong drink makes one cry out. Okay. And whoever errs after it will not grow wise. Everyone pretty much learns the last half the same. Okay, so that's Art Scroll.
And what was the last percent?
And whoever errs after it will not grow wise. Okay, Living Knock says the wine bibbing. I feel like bibbing is a word.
Isn't that like?
I know you do it to a baby.
Isn't it like imbibing?
That's imbibing. Yeah, but it says two B's. Unless I made a typo. The wine. So this is. So they say.
I assume it's some weird conjugation.
Probably. The wine-bibbing scoffer yells for strong drink. Okay, and yet whoever is misled by it will not grow wise. So that's pretty much the same as we had. And then Alter says, okay, this is a good one. This is another literal one. Wine is a scoffer. Yeah, wine is a Leitz, which I guess you could say a Leitz is wine. Right, those are two variants. I guess we'll do both of them. A Leitz
You are what you eat.
is wine. What was that?
You are what you eat.
Yeah. Or bib. And hard drink is rowdy. Hard drink is rowdy. Okay, rowdy is how he's saying Homer. All who dote on them get no wisdom.
Oh, who dote on?
Yeah, all who dote on them. I'm just getting to know that. Who uses the word dote in that way? And then the last translation,
Here with a P.
dote
Oh.
with
Yeah,
a
I
P.
also heard dope first.
Yeah.
and I was like, way weirder.
Late is wine. Hard drink.
More sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it shouldn't be.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So again, let's just go over the 5 translations. Okay. And I think because there's so many translations, we just have to play like loose until we get them. So yeah.
I just want to add a quick one. Also, wine back in the day was really just a concentrate
Right.
of like grape alcohol, and then they watered it down.
Right.
So
Right.
it makes sense that wine itself would be like 60.
So I don't think that this pasuk is presuming that. I think that because the differentiation between yain and shechar, meaning whatever percentage we say, yain is definitely like less, and also it doesn't mean that he's drinking raw wine. He's drinking wine the way it's normally drank,
Right.
which is diluted. Yeah. So we have late the wine cries out for drink. That's like the literal translation. Okay. Then we have the wine late cries out for drink. Then we have wine makes a late, strong drink makes one cry out. Then we have wine is a late, hard drink is rowdy. Then we have a late is wine, hard drink is a crier outer. And then the last one, which a lot of the meforshim go with, is late ish hayayin. Okay, so a late is a wine guy. Okay, it's a wine guy. And then Homer, Kefar, and again, it's unclear. See, it's unclear whether Homer is a separate person, right? Like our scroll said, wine makes late, strong drink makes one cry out, or is it referring to a separate person, or if it's saying that the late's like the wine late cries out for strong drink, Okay, yeah. So that's the simple translation there.
A lot of translation.
Yeah, I know. It's really confusing, and that's why I'm saying like here. I think the best way to do it is just like keep all of these things free floating in our minds until like something like clicks or we have a direction. Okay, what are the questions? What is the first half? How do you read the first half? How do you read the first half?
I put the translation in the chat.
Nice.
Can you attach extra question marks to it?
Yes. Exclamation and question, or just question mark?
Yes.
Okay. So I did a question mark, exclamation, question mark. Yeah.
Wait, what order?
Question mark, exclamation, question mark. Almost as if you have a question, you're astounded by the question, and then you question why you're astounded.
Put that in the chat.
What is it? What type of airing do we mean?
Yeah. What does shoge airing mean? And like in a general sense and in a like measurable sense, because whenever you're talking about like was that getting an idea?
Yeah. No, it's a fun.
Okay, yeah. I was like, wow. Some people
Pictures.
I've heard some people are kinetic learners. I didn't know that's what it meant. But you must hold by Plato that the ideas
Right.
exist out there.
Not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Meaning it's one thing to say what is airing, but I feel like because in order to make this practical, we have to know like at what point have you crossed over into that line,
What is a Leitz?
Yeah, what is a late? Were you here? Yes, you were here yesterday,
I
right?
came late.
You came late. Okay, yeah.
I haven't been in the morning show enough to know what an actual Leitz is.
Okay, yeah, because we're not going to dwell on that question because yesterday's pasuk has to do with the lates. But I'll tell you just so you know. Well, so everyone reviews also, but like late has two qualities. This is an open pasuk in Mishlei. Late is haughty, and he's aggressive. Okay, haughty and aggressive, and he's aggressive in primarily through speech. And the examples that Rabbeinu Yonah gives is that he speaks lashon hara. He makes fun of people. He makes fun of virtues. We didn't say that yesterday. He makes fun of like good midos and like good things. He rejoices when other people have a downfall, and he's blind to his own faults.
Wow.
Yeah, that guy.
Why I keep mixing him up with laziness. What's the laziness?
Atzel.
Atzel. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reverse it and chop off the iron.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, so are we saying the wine and hard alcohol makes the person a late?
Okay. Yeah.
Or if he a late,
Okay. So let.
and as a late, he does drink wine?
Okay, so because that is one of the things that's ambiguous in the translation, let's just ask the question, instead of trying to translate it,
Mhm.
let's ask the question, what is the relationship between a Leitz and Yayin and Shechar? Okay, yeah.
And what's
Incorrect.
And what, say it again?
what is
Yeah, what is
or yeah.
Chochmah in this context? And then why,
Like,
Well,
yeah, why does someone who errs after it/them not become wise,
Mm.
right? Like what prevents them from becoming wise?
And what's the difference between wine and a strong drink?
Yeah, so that we that was before you came here. So what we're assuming right now, I think this is just the facts, is wine is less alcohol, shechar is like hard alcohol.
No, I mean.
Oh, you mean in the pasuk? Sorry, meaning like why does it differentiate?
Yeah. What's
Okay,
the
yeah.
distinction? I mean,
Okay.
why does one make a Leitz
Yeah, okay.
versus a strong drink? makes
What
a
is the
Leitz?
significance
Right.
of the difference between Yayin and Shechar in the pasuk? Yeah,
That is how many?
yeah. What does home mean? Oh, also I should just mention home. We translate it as crying out, and that's how Tzyon says it. Home can also mean to murmur or complain or grumble or growl. So it's like, yeah. So it's like the precise translation would be right. So it's like all of those.
So which we're translating it as like cry out for, would that be like short?
No, yeah, that's how our first couple translations have it. Yeah, yeah. But in cry out for, or that's if it's he cries out for Shechar, but the other way is that Shechar makes you cry out, in which case it's like reactionary.
Right,
Yeah. Okay. What else?
Wait, how did all their translate over?
Yeah, I deleted it. All right, I forgot to save the other version. Yeah.
Yeah.
In what way will he cry out?
Yeah. So what is? I'll just say, what does home mean, and then why does? In what way does he is he home? Is in what way is he home? Yeah.
Yeah. So this question is like answered by different translations, but I think it like makes a distinction
Mhm.
between them. What direction is the causality?
Yeah.
Like,
Does wine make him cry out?
Yeah.
Or does if he make the late? Sorry, does wine make the lates, or does the lates something with the wine? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And also, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and the same thing.
And
with
then
the-
home and shechar. Yeah.
Is it shechar is causing the crying out, or the crying out
Right.
is causing the shechar?
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't the second half seem obvious?
Yes. Okay. Good.
I was actually gonna say no. I was gonna say, well, okay. It's a mistake. He got drunk.
Okay.
That's not
So
good.
so yeah, that's going to depend on how we translate shoga, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So like like on Purim, when someone gets drunk and kicks the wall and makes a hole in the wall,
Yeah.
playing with your partner,
Right.
with the-
Yeah. So I'm assuming that when it says chol
Sure.
shoge bo, is this a confession? When it says chol shoge bo, it does not mean erring like making a mistake. It sounds like someone who is an
Well,
error
Systematically.
or like has a tendency, So I'm gonna assume that because of that case, and I'm not gonna put the or because of that.
I was playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, I hear. Like you could read it that way.
Yeah.
But the question of still
Flushing
is,
out.
Yeah. It either seems false or obvious.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So the second half. Oh, I just deleted all the questions. The second half seems obvious or false. Yeah, I'm putting the false in parentheses because I think it's better to say it
Yeah.
is obvious. Yeah. And then here
It's
yeah.
like depending on what level of erring it is.
Yeah,
Like if it's like a particular instance, that seems
Right.
that's not
then
true.
that seems false, right? Yeah.
Presumably it's more.
Right. Okay. So that's actually a good way to put it, right? So I'm going to rephrase the question. Depending on the on how this falls out on the erring spectrum, quote unquote,
Margin of error.
the second half seems either obvious or false. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, we're not saying air like AIR. We're saying
No, ERR. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the last question, I think, or the last major question is, what is the relationship between the two halves? Like, and also like, what would you guess what would you guess about the Leitz's relationship to Chochmah? Yeah, he scoffs at it. Well, that, yeah, distant, right? So like, he's not interested in becoming a Chacham anyway. It's like, why are we talking about the fact that he's not going to become a Chacham? You know?
Yeah, it has like nothing to do with the fact that with any relationship with wine.
Yeah, right, exactly. In other words, what? So let me ask this question here. I'll put it in a question. Okay, I don't know if I ever told you about this, but Rabbi Moskowitz, another machlokes Rabbi Moskowitz and I had in methodology was he said you should always ask the question, what is the subject of the pasuk? And while I don't think that that's a bad idea, I think that there's certain pasukim where like asking that question is an essential step in like defining and understanding the main idea. And like, if you can't answer that question, then you don't see the unity. And then other times, like it felt like we were just perfunctorily asking the question. So like here though, I think the question is like, what's the subject? Is this about wine? Is this about Leitzim? Is this about development in Chochmah? You know, it's
Or
just
about other people in general.
or about other people, right? What is the subject here of this pasuk? Yeah.
Also, like, I mean, just relating it back to our show last night, it seems like the Avil is also, anti the,
Right.
so like, is that the same as the?
Yeah, so let's not introduce that simply because the pasuk doesn't talk about an avil. Our pasuk is dividing everyone into two categories, seemingly. The Leitz / the Homei Shechar, if that's not the Leitz, and then Kol. And that's the interesting thing also. Kol Shoge Bolo Yacham sounds like it's talking about everyone.
Well, that's not really, that wasn't really my question. My question was like what, I think I forgot, it was obvious. It sounds like saying like how the Leitz is anti, the Chacham.
Yeah,
He's like, he would scoff at it.
yeah.
With the Avil as well. So I'm just trying to understand the Leitz, meaning is the Leitz like the Avil in that sense?
He is like the avil in that sense, yeah.
Okay.
So just take a step. It
Yeah.
seems like there is a problem with getting drunk, that it takes away from Chochmah or something.
Yeah,
And the Leitz is prone to getting drunk. or
right.
drinking.
Yeah,
But anyone who gets that,
right.
like,
Yeah, so that's a good example of a step that pushes us in the direction of that last question. So what is this pasuk about?
Mhm.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, but that's a good step.
Sorry, and the fact that when we're mentioning that he won't have Chochmah, we could say it's going on the public, but it does seem to flow that it's going on the second half on all the people that
Yeah.
prepare with him.
Right. Yeah, but see, that's the weird thing, right? Is that like sounds like the Leitz has a special relationship with wine and or shechar, and then all people who stray after wine and shechar will not become wise. So, like, what is the difference between
Maybe it's like a given that he's just not going to become wise, even if he wasn't drinking
Right,
alcohol.
so then-
The Leitz, he's rejecting.
right?
him.
So then that kind of makes the question on the first half. So then the first half seems obvious, Like, why do we even have to specify that? Like, in other words, you could just say the second half. And if we know that the Leitz is prone to wine, then like he's also not going to become wise, unless it's saying what you're saying, that like it's showing that he's prone to drinking wine. It's
Right.
yeah.
There's more of a translation question. There are two of them actually.
There are none on this. No translation questions on this topic.
Is for cries like what are like the synonyms, I guess, meaning like
So crying
what's
out,
from cry.
yelling for, grumbling about,
So it's not
murmuring.
really tears.
Not tear crying. Yeah, it's so the two Hebrew words that would be potential synonyms for the English cry. So this is not bocheh. This is not like weeping, crying. This is like sa'aka. This is like yelling out for.
Okay.
Like in other words, picture the guy at the bar, like yelling for the bartender, give me another one. Like that's the kind of yelling out, I think.
And for drink, is I guess guess I'm wondering how flexible that word is in terms of like conditioning. Is it a noun or like?
It's a noun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The home can be either a verb or a noun. It could either be he cries out, or it could be a crier outer. But then shechar is a noun.
And then that's just for like more.
Right. And again, but the causality could go both ways. Either it can mean that he cries out for hard alcohol, or hard alcohol makes him cry out. Yeah.
Yeah, another question is, I mean, the first half of the pasuk doesn't seem to be true. I mean, we all drink wine on Shabbat.
Well, that doesn't mean that it's not true. That just means.
Well,
Like,
it's not always true.
Well, it just might mean you're not related.
Oh, you mean if you take it? Yeah, right. Meaning if you take it that
wine
wine
makes
makes you into a Leitz. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's true. Right.
You know, it's
It's
like,
a question of degree.
Then it's a question of degree. Right. Right.
well, okay, fine, maybe that's getting into my answer, right?
Yeah.
But I was using this question as a physical question.
No, that's fine. I mean, you could take it as that, or you could either say it's false, or you could say that it's just a matter of what degree is it. Yeah. You want to say it an idea?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not full though.
That's fine.
It's so I'm gonna use, I think 3 and 4 is,
So wine makes a Leitz, or wine is a Leitz.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think my idea can suffice both those
Okay.
questions. So maybe you could say that you know, there's always an inherent danger in drinking, you know, whether it's wine or hard alcohol,
Mhm.
right? Wine, you know, puts you in a state of mind where it opens the door for lateness,
Yeah.
right? There's
Yeah.
you know.
You were pretty close with the real word, Leitzanus, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
combine the
Yeah.
you know, so in that sense, 3 and 4, 1 makes the lates. It could make a late.
Yeah.
But also 4 is also, you know, saying that 1 can be the lates in terms of like, you know, 1 has that ability, you know, to create that.
Mhm.
Okay. So you know, that's a danger one should recognize. No matter who you are, right?
Yeah.
So now the second part of that, strong drink makes one cry out, is now you're already entering into, you know, drunkenness. You know, you're drunk.
Mhm.
I mean, most people can't really control themselves when they're drunk.
Right.
They speak the truth. You know,
Right.
they speak, you know, the truth in a very aggressive manner,
Right.
and it can be harmful.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that's just that, you know, that's just the definition of getting drunk.
Yeah.
And the second half of the pasuk is, you know, anyone who makes that mistake, and I want to say on a consistent basis,
Yeah.
is just, you know, tiptress. You know.
Okay. So that's the other weird thing, by the way, is it doesn't say he will be foolish. It says he will not become wise, which sounds like a developmental thing,
Yeah,
meaning
it's
that it's going to
different.
prevent him from developing into a chacham.
Right.
You know, not that he's going to act foolish. I mean, he might do that also, or by default, he will do that. But the
Yeah.
emphasis is not on he will act foolishly, which is what we think of as the effects of drunkenness. You know, but it's he won't become a chacham.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just gonna inhibit his growth in Chochmah. When you know when one Rosh Hashanah meal, we asked Rebbe, you know, what's the problem with smoking pot?
Yeah.
You know, like halachically, what's the problem? And I think he said that it puts you in a state of mind where you can't learn Torah.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
here too, I think
Yeah.
on a consistent basis, it just inhibits your mind.
Okay, I hear that. Can we just focus on the first half? Because I think the first half is going to probably get down to the same idea no matter what. So what is it about, what would you say it is about the latest, what's the latest relationship to wine? Like, why is he drawn to that? Or why does that make a person into a Leitz? Yeah.
Here's another question.
Sure.
Is wine in that first half of the pasuk a critical word? I mean, like, could we be saying roughly the same thing without the word wine? I mean, like, he cries for drink, or like yells for alcohol. I mean, like, why is wine?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you could take it that the first 2 quarters of the pasuk are synonyms. You know, that really just means the same thing. You know, if you don't want to differentiate, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It seems to me there's like 2 different different ways of approaching this.
Yeah.
Either we could say that the first half is about a late,
Yeah.
or we could say that it's about a regular person and they're being being called a late in some way.
Okay.
Right.
Like,
I think
Yeah.
Ariel was trying to say that it's not the subject is not
It's not-
person who is the one.
Right, a person could be, it'll bring out Leitz-like qualities,
Yeah.
Leitzanus in a person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I that's a good way to frame the two approaches here. Yeah, Joe?
Yeah, I was thinking that he's the golfer of wine.
Oh,
He's golfing the wine.
that's another possibility. Yeah.
And the reason he's like, like mocking the wine, or maybe people who drink wine, is it's really like a defense mechanism.
Mhm.
And really he has those exact tendencies in himself. So when he talks at the wine, he's really crying out for God.
I didn't follow that last step. It's so he's
Meaning he's
practically speaking, he's making fun of people who drink wine.
yeah, because he himself wants to drink wine, but he sort of knows that that's not a good thing to have those tendencies.
Uh-huh.
So he mocks it. But when he's mocking it, that's really just an insecurity in himself.
Okay.
So he's crying out for liquor.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure if it seems to me like if a person like recognizes that something is bad, but they're in conflict about it, and so they mock it. It seems like that's like a good thing to me, and like to some extent, like it'd be better if they like could have like a healthy relationship to it. But if let's say if like a person like let's say really wants to like really let's say really wants to do heroin, but they know that it's like not a good idea, and so they mock people who have like heroin addiction.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it's like like stemming from the fact maybe it's stemming from the fact that they want it, but
But the guy's still doing heroin.
no, I'm saying
You're saying he's not.
I'm saying it's,
So I'm
it's
saying homo shefa.
But you're saying he's homeless shekhar, but he's not actually drinking shekhar.
No, he's drinking shefa.
Oh, so I don't like that shot then. I mean, because I tell you what I thought you were saying. I thought you were reading as one who mocks wine is actually crying out for hard alcohol, meaning
That's
that
what I'm
defense mechanism, like,
not that he's actually
you're
drinking.
crying out for
Yeah. meaning he wants it, which is like,
I mean, just, yeah, I'm just saying it's not good, and therefore that can't be a shot, but it's just saying a fact, right? It's just saying
yeah,
if you are lacing wine,
yeah,
then you are really deep down crying out for
Right,
shit.
right,
So
right,
it's
but-
not
but
really
it-
for
once
that,
you-
it's just saying
but once you say though that you are actually drinking like hard alcohol, you think that guy's really gonna be mocking people who are drinking wine?
People do that all the time. People who engage in a certain behavior
Yeah.
mock other people who engage in that behavior. It's like almost like
Uh-huh.
Why wouldn't
Instant.
they why wouldn't they mock someone who's drinking?
Shekhar.
Well, because they're doing that. They can't be mocking themselves and they wouldn't be drinking.
What else are they saying?
I mean, I kind of get what you're saying. He's saying there's like a inherent defense mechanism where we're like blind to our own.
Yeah, which I said is one of the qualities with Leitz. I mean, that's what Rabbeinu said explicitly.
But it doesn't say he's drinking hard alcohol. It says
He's crying out for it, right?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I need to say it's coming from a place of desire for hard alcohol.
Right.
But he's not actually doing it.
no, that's what I think the pasuk is saying, but I do think this guy is going to drink it also.
But I feel like it go either way.
Outside
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
Specifying drinking or not drinking.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a difference to.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, I think it's a really good translation possibility, and and I think my the two obstacles to me are number one, the assumption here. I'm working with the assumption that this is a Leitz that is bad, and simply because the last two pasukim we did are about Leitzim who are bad, it seems like that's the subject Mishlei is in right now. But then the second thing also is like there's something a little, and it's not an inherent obstacle, something a little bit complicated about the way that it's being read, which either means that we haven't gotten the level of clarity where it clicks and seems all simple, or it's too complicated. Like that's really where I'm at right now. But it's a really creative way to read it.
So I just thought so.
Yeah.
Like maybe you could say that he's mocking it, but really he's expressing that he has a desire for it.
Mhm.
I'm thinking Yan and Schaefer.
Right.
Right.
And then if that person, so that person can either
I mean, it's not honest.
yeah
Yeah.
yes. So that person can either use that to abstain from it, or he's going to mock it and then fall into it. And then if he does that, then
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and another just point on that is
Yeah.
that he has the first half is saying this guy is mocking it because out of a negative
Yeah.
whatever, a negative motivation or something. but there could be a positive motivation for mocking wine, which is that, like, oh, it's gonna, like it's gonna lead to like not being a chacham.
Yeah.
It's sort of like that's what he's either that's like quotes, like that's what he's saying,
Right.
the whole Shoghi whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's just saying that's a possible good motivation for
See,
some.
I think maybe this is another. I hear what you're saying, but I think this is another thing that I'm reluctant about is that the pasuk is not spelling out the goodness of this thing, which supports Joe's way of reading it. That he is involved in like drinking shechar, you know. So like I'd be hesitant to say that it's talking about a good thing, even though I agree with you in principle that there is a category of person who's mocking something as like a rather than like indulging in it. Yeah, Zach.
So I have like a new approaches.
Okay, well, we should finish the
So,
first.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that the pasuk is talking about a good thing. I'm saying the fact that he's mocking it, like because he's mocking it, if he then falls into it, like if he didn't mock it and then he drank because he really wanted to, then that would be something that would be like that's a easy like wouldn't necessarily be an obstacle to becoming wise.
Mhm.
But because he mocked it and then did it,
Mhm.
maybe like now he like maybe now he has social consequences or he feels like he's he's a fool for doing that or like because he mocked it now because he mocked it and then did it
Mhm.
now that's going to be an obstacle to him doing wise.
Mhm. It feels complicated.
I had a slightly different one.
Yeah.
It might be simpler, which is that like if the second half, like there is some truth to what he's saying, like he's like he is not
He Shlomo or he the mocker?
the mocker.
Yeah.
Like he's saying like don't like drinking wine is bad, whatever.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, he's so confident.
You could say it though. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll be a different kind of complicated.
Yeah.
That'll lead to simplicity.
Yeah. He's okay. Like I guess the way I'm reading it is like the Leitz, whatever. He's like Leitzing the wine, and whatever. That whole first thing is that like really the one who is scoffing the wine is really desires the wine. But the things he's saying about wine that them not fucking is actually like.
So the second half is the second half like almost in quotes like that's what he's saying. Yeah. And just to read it in a slightly nuanced way where you don't say that they're synonymous is that you'll find that there are people who view wine as intrinsically bad, and they'll talk about wine as if it's synonymous with getting drunk. Like that's how they mock it. Like if someone is has a glass of wine for dinner, they'll call them a wino, or they'll talk about like the teetotalers is the name of the movement, right? Like in the early 1900s through the people who were like complete abstainers from alcohol and like condemned any sort of like imbibing of alcohol as like anti-Christian and like drunk and you go to being drunk, So like what I'm saying is in the pasuk, someone who mocked wine cries out for strong drink. Like it like again, I'm not entirely sold, but like that's what they are conceiving of wine as. Like to them, there's no difference between wine and strong drink, and they say anyone who errs after it will not become wise.
Which is true about getting drunk.
It's true about getting drunk. It's just not true about wine, right? Yeah.
For a second, I thought you were saying it was like I guess it's similar to what Joe was saying, like this speakeasy phenomenon, like the people who were like pushing for prohibition.
Yeah.
Going to the speakeasies.
Yeah, that's a good example, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
point for.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. And then I think let's for game plan here because we have like 10 minutes. You give your approach. I thought I had a full approach. I think I have an approach for the first half and an approach for the second half, which maybe when I say it, they'll merge. And then tomorrow we could do meforshim. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of starting with the second half and working backwards.
Yeah.
So by saying all who err will not become wise seems to imply that there's an opportunity to become wise here.
Right.
So I'm basically wondering what that opportunity is. How do we find that opportunity? So then going back to the first half, I feel like the word wine is like symbolic for either like there's two options and one clearly more to me. Like wine is symbolic to like celebration or to truth.
Okay.
And I sort of feel like, or maybe hard truths. And so I sort of feel like wine here is talking about those hard truths. And the idea, first to the positives and then to the negatives, how he's structuring it, is that a person confronting the difficult truths within them can lead to wisdom if done right.
Mm-hmm.
But a person who mocks the process of finding those difficult truths will cry for drink. And this drink can be literal, but it can also be more symbolism, saying that like they're going to end up like wishing for the truth the most, and they're going to be the ones who are going to like search for it in the incorrect path because they had mocked it in a healthy sense,
Mm-hmm.
healthy truth seeking.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically he's saying like everybody has an opportunity to become wise, but like the one who mocks that opportunity is like the worst off.
Mm-hmm. Interesting symbolic reading. I'm not so keen on the symbolism for now. I feel like that's just super speculative. But
part of what led me to think that way
Yeah.
is the superfluousness of the word wine. Meaning like if he was really talking about drunk, why have that extra word? To me it seems extra. Like I know you're
Yeah.
saying how you could just have repetition.
I think there's other ways to read where it's not extra also, though. That's not the only
Right,
way,
but
yeah.
I mean, just how I was looking at it, it seemed like wine was clearly saying like this is a point more than just like wine.
Mm-hmm.
And then like also like this standing question of like where is this opportunity to become wise? And then I was like,
I hear it was leaning there. So let me say my two half ideas, and we'll see what happens, and then we'll do meforshim tomorrow. So let's take the first half. Okay, so the Leitz is characterized by his haughtiness and his aggression. Okay, and his unrestrained speech. Right. So wine, what effect does alcohol have? It lowers your inhibitions even more, right? And all of those qualities can come out. Now, at this point, I'm not sure whether it's what Ariel was saying, where it's talking about a person who's like, everyone's prone to becoming a Leitz. Everyone like has a certain sense of superiority or egotism and a certain sense of like aggression, and wine can bring that out and cause you to develop into a Leitz. Or it's talking about a wine Leitz, which is someone who like will, maybe I am inclined towards the second way, that a wine Leitz is someone who seeks to put himself into a state where there is absolutely no conflict in letting out his aggression, you know? And what's going to happen is you can tell that this is a wine Leitz because he might be someone who likes drinking wine, but he really just is striving to get drunk, and that's the crying out for strong drink. Meaning that like there's some meforshim will say that it's talking about a Leitz who drinks wine der shikrus, and in order to get drunk. Meaning there are people who drink wine because of the simcha properties of it, or like it's a tasty beverage, but then there's people who drink it to get drunk. The wine would drink it, the Leitz would drink it to get drunk. And this is the part that I'm kind of fuzzy on, is that like, I feel like with certain emotions, there is certain, especially base emotions, there is a state where you have certain like restraints on your instinctual desire, but then if you can get yourself into a state where you throw off all restraints, then you that's like a higher level of indulging in the desire, not just quantitatively but qualitatively. Meaning that the person who likes partying and then they get totally uninhibited through whatever substance they use, that's like a kiyum in that. Or let's say like with sexual stuff, like there's sexual pleasure, and then there's like people who abandon themselves to like an orgy or something like that. Or rage, anger. There's like, you're mad, but then you're in conflict about mad. But then when you fly into an unrestrained rage, there's like a quality. It's not just a quantitative difference. It's the fact that you put yourself into a state where like the conflict is just like completely receded into the background, So the Leitz is going to be trending towards that thing where he can like completely let loose in his Leitzanos, and that's why he's attracted to things that lower his inhibition. Or maybe you can even put in the social realm that like, if the Leitz just goes up and mocks someone in a business meeting, he gets the pleasure of doing that, but it's also socially unacceptable. But when he's in the bar, or when he's like hanging out with people who are drinking, and like there's like a societal matir, then like he can like fully indulge in that without the consequence. Okay, so that's like my and that's, again, it's not a solid approach. This is like my thoughts for the first half. Okay, Put that on the burner, back burner. Okay, side burner. Okay, second thing, chol shoga b'lo yacham. So that's not talking about a leitz. That's talking about anyone who errs in wine in general, right? So I'm going to say erring in wine is not just the kicking in the thing on Purim. You know, it's like someone who habitually is abusing alcohol or getting drunk or whatever. Why is it lo yacham? So here's the thing: is what is Chochmah and Mishlei? Yeah, make good decisions based on long-term consequences. Right now, all Chochmah development in Mishlei is going to involve being able to face reality, right? And to accept the fact that there are aspects of reality that are not pleasurable, and that you either have to accept them or you can make decisions to try to, to get future results that are different. So if a person is, we're not talking about drinking wine on Shabbos. You're not even talking about drinking wine. If a person, back again, because all the time, like they had wine with every meal, like that was like the standard beverage because water was deadly, But so we're not even talking about that, but we're talking about someone who basically, that whenever they face conflict, they try to numb it or retreat from it through wine. That type of person will never become a chacham.
What was that?
The person who is relating to wine in a way where they are using it as a means to cope with dissatisfaction and pain and conflict in life.
Oh, depression.
What was that?
Depression.
Depression could be an extreme example, but I don't think it has to be depression, So like that person will never become a chacham, because what Chochmah development is doing is it's pushing you towards being able to face reality and operate within reality, and it's pushing you on that road. But if you keep on returning to wine and then which is strengthening your resistance to facing reality, it's pulling you back. So you just will never become a chacham. You could become a thinker, you can become an intellectual genius. And there were many people who are I forgot if I mentioned this to you. This book that I've been reading, one of the many bathroom books, is Daily Routines or Daily Rituals, it's called, and it's about people who are famous, like artists, scientists, writers, people like that, musicians, and what their creative habits were. I'd say 2/3 of them were severely involved in some sort of substance abuse, But these are people who were brilliant, but they weren't Mishlei chachamim, you can't face reality if you keep on self-medicating to avoid reality, So now the question is, what's the relationship between the two halves?
So, hold on. So what's the difference between someone who's brilliant versus someone who?
Brilliant just has to do with how abstract of a thinker you are or how creative of a thinker you are, but not actually, but that has nothing to do with decision making. Mishlei Chochmah is about decision making and being able to actually operate within reality in a way that's beneficial in the long run. What do you say, Zach?
Just maybe a line of questioning is this concept of someone who self-medicates and avoids reality.
Yeah.
Is Shlomo isolating that just to wine, or is he saying
No.
Who feeds into this?
I think it could be anything that does this, meaning it could be any substance, and it could even be any sort of other addictive thing. Some people throw themselves into.
But what about for example, mentally? Let's say they just mentally avoid reality in that sense, not even theoretically using a substance.
I think that right now, I'm open to other ideas. Right now, I think that this has to do with engaging in an action that puts you into a mental state. Not just this, because they're the standard, the Avil and the Ksil, they also avoid reality, but that's not a thing that they do that puts them into a state. That's just what their current personality is.
Action just be mocking the idea of facing reality.
That could be also, and this is really where I feel like the question is, what is the connection between these two ideas?
The reason why I'm going down this route is because I think that I feel like a lot of what you're saying is in line with what I was trying to get across.
Right, because I'm taking it literally. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't even think that you are taking it that. I don't think there's a difference in how more literally you're taking it.
Okay.
I think it's.
But I am saying literally for the Leitz, by the way,
Literally in the sense that he's what?
He's literally engaging in an action, whether through the physiological effects of wine or through the socially acceptable scenario of wine drinking. That he's that's a matir for him to engage in more of his leitzanos. Yeah.
Can you read your first half of the again
on the Leitz? Yeah. So a Leitz is aggressive and unrestrained in his speech, and wine and strong drink are things that, or drunkenness, basically is a state where physiologically and socially it's more acceptable to be unrestrained. And he wants to fully immerse himself in that, to get rid of any like lingering conflict and to fully indulge in that type of mockery. And
he won't be drinking alcohol.
he will be drinking alcohol. He's a wine Leitz. Yeah. Oh, he will also drink the alcohol. I'm not committing to any translation. Like it could be that he's drinking both and they're synonyms. It could be that he starts off drinking wine, but it's really just as an excuse to have strong drink.
The point is
You know,
to get
Why
drunk.
does he
point to
need
get drunk.
why
That's
does
the
he need
point.
that
Yeah.
excuse?
So there's no conflict.
There's no conflict.
Why
Yeah.
does he need that excuse?
So there's no conflict.
There's no conflict. Yeah.
Conflict in what?
Because the like, and maybe I'm being too Don the Katzchus on the Leitz, that there is still some lingering conflict, because otherwise why would he need it?
Well, I guess
You know?
you could have someone who's like maybe a pure Mishlei who like maybe doesn't who maybe wouldn't have.
That's true.
conflict,
Yeah.
But like most Leitzim,
Yeah.
they're fully acting like Leitzim.
Right.
Will probably
Some
still-
So, like,
conflict.
Right. So I'll give you an example of this, and again, we should stop soon. But like the I don't know people like this in real life, but in the movies, the rich Hamptons wives, like wives who like have like husbands who like work and like they just go to the Hamptons and drink mimosas at lunch every day, you know, like so they are like, you know, are probably gossipers in their normal social circles, but like they put themselves into a situation where they're like having alcohol and like just gossiping, like letting loose, you know, it loosens the tongue and like lets them have the socially acceptable, you know, or psychologically more prone. Yeah, exactly. And just one last step, and then we'll stop for today, and then let's think about it for tomorrow. Is what I'm intuitively sensing is both halves of the pasuk, the way I'm explaining, involve putting you into a state that like either propels bad development, like with the late, or inhibits good development, like with the Chochmah, you know, with the blogging up for Chochmah. So let's stop here for today. Tomorrow I want to do, so the Metzudas, David and Rabbeinu Yonah both have interesting interpretations, but each one has big problems with it, and I want to try to tackle that also. So let's think about it, and we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Hold on a minute.